Hi, this is TJ, and today I'm going to begin to show you how to play the bass guitar. This is a fun, awesome instrument to play, the backbone of many bands, and I'm going to show you how I learned how to play, which isn't your conventional method of learning, but it gets the job done. I'll have you up and playing quickly and in no time. So before we get started, we're going to learn some just general vocabulary words that you're going to need to know as we go through these series of videos. We're going to first start off with the anatomy of the guitar. Of course, the anatomy of a guitar is not much different than the anatomy of a human being. A guitar has a body, which is this large section of the guitar here. It has a neck, which goes from here, extends all the way out here. That's the neck. And this upper portion here, this is the head. A guitar has a body, a neck, and a head, just like the human body. The neck itself, laying on top of the neck, is what's called the fretboard. It's directly under the strings, and it's this dark piece of wood that goes from here all the way to here. And laying on top of the fretboard are frets. Frets are these metallic strips that run vertically up and down the neck, from the top of the neck down to the bottom. Okay, so we have our body, we have our neck, we have our head, we have the fretboard, which is the dark wood on top of here, and then the frets are the metallic strips on top of the fretboard. Of course, we have the strings, which span the entire length of the guitar. They're held up here by the tuning keys, and they go all the way down and are held secured at the bottom of the guitar. Okay, so that's enough of the anatomy of the guitar. There's lots of other parts and different things I could explain to you, but for the sake of just playing, that's all you really need to know. Let's get right down to talking about the strings now. On this guitar, I have a 4-string guitar. Most commonly, there are bass guitars with 4 strings, 5 strings, or 6 strings. Those are your most common basses. I've seen guitars that have up to 12 strings. A 12-string bass guitar, and there might be more. But the most common guitar is probably the one that you have or that you're going to be playing, has either 4 strings, 5 strings, or 6 strings. As I'm going through my lessons, I'm going to refer to the strings by number. String number 1, string number 2, string 3, string 4. That'll help us both to be coordinated on what string I'm referencing. And I'm going to number them starting from the string that's closest to you, closest to your head, the closest that you can see on top. This is string number 1. This is string number 2. The next is string number 3, and this is string number 4, okay? So we're counting going from the top down, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you are taking lessons from another teacher or even trying to learn through a book, you might notice that the numbering of the strings goes up. Your standard numbering starts from down here, string number 1, string number 2, string number 3, and string number 4. I actually do the string numbering backwards, which to me makes more sense to count it from the top down. This is the first string you see, so it's most naturally to think of that as string number 1. So for the purposes of this video and for this series, we're going to count it 1, 2, 3, and 4. And of course, if you have 5 strings, you add that 5th string, that's number 5, and 6, and so on, okay? So we have our string numbers out of the way. Lastly, I want to talk to you about a term called steps. Steps on a guitar. There are 2 types of steps, a whole step and a half step. As humans, when we take steps, we're making a movement, right? We take a step, we're moving, we're walking, we're moving. So on a guitar, we have the same concept. When you're taking steps on a guitar, you're moving in one direction up or down the guitar. And so I'm going to randomly pick a fret. Let's say right here, this fret right here, this is the 1, 2, 3rd fret. Let's say we're playing a note right here. If I say, let's move let's move 1/2 step up. We're going to move a half step is just moving 1 fret. So that was a half step move. From here to here is a half step move up. If I'm here and I say let's move a half step down, we're going to go this way. So from here to here is a half step down. And the terms up and down is just referencing up in tone or down in tone. That's a low tone. If I stay on the same string and move up here and play a tone, that's a higher tone, okay? So the higher the notes sound, that means we're going up. So let's go back to my example where I'm pushing a fret here. If I say we're going to go up a half step, that means we're going over 1 fret. 1 fret is a half step. And of course, up is this way, down is that way. So let's talk about whole steps. We know from kindergarten that 2 halves make a whole, correct? So if I'm here, from here to here was a half, we moved 1 fret. So if moving 1 fret is a half, then naturally moving 2 steps is a whole. So from here to here is a half. Let's go back to this starting fret. Now to jump a whole, we're going to skip a fret and go here, okay? So from here to here is a whole step. That's a whole step up. From here to here is a whole step down, okay? And we can do that on any string. I'm going to randomly pick right here. From here to here, is that a whole step or a half step? If you said half step, then that's correct. From here to here is a half step up. Let's go back here. If I say let's go a whole step down, remember down is going that way. So a whole step down would be 2 half steps. So from here to here is a whole step down. Okay? So we've learned the anatomy of the guitar. We know what a whole step is. We know what a half step is. We know what going up the guitar is, going this way. And we know going down the guitar is going this way. Okay? So let's begin to learn how to actually play and make sounds with the guitar. Your right hand, of course, is going to be on this side of the guitar, and it's going to be the hand that generally initiates the sound with the strings. To make sound, the best thing to do is to take your thumb and rest it right on this pickup. Your pickups may look differently. You might not have a set of 2 here. You might only have 1 here and 1 here. You might only have 1 altogether. But regardless, you're going to have some sort of pickup that is extending up above the strings. You're going to rest your thumb right on that pickup, and that leaves your 4 fingers to kind of float around. Now let me stop here and say we've numbered the strings already. We're also going to number our fingers. The finger that's closest to your thumb is finger number 1, finger number 2, finger 3, finger number 4. And the same goes for the right hand. We don't count the thumb. We just start with our fingers, finger number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Okay? So let's get back to our right hand. We're resting it on the pickup here. Our 4 fingers are floating in the air. This is the best position to play and to get ready to play. You want your fingers to kind of be loose, kind of just flapping around, while your thumb is keeping everything in position, floating above the strings. Okay? So there are several techniques to strum the strings. Some people use their finger number 1. Some people use their finger number 2. Of course, you can also use a combination of both. There's a technique where you can use your thumb as well. Today we're just going to focus on using your 3rd finger. That's the one that I typically use. That's my strongest finger. So we're going to start out using your 3rd finger, and there'll be different exercises where we'll practice using other fingers, being able to efficiently use all your fingers. But for now, we're just going to use our 3rd finger. So rest your thumb on the pickup, take your third finger, and I want you to just strum string number 1. You're going to put, let me turn so you can kind of see, you're going to put your third finger, the tip of your third finger, not directly on the string, but a little bit past it, in between the first and second strings. Go down kind of into the gap just a little bit, and then pull up toward your thumb. Okay, pull up toward your thumb. Okay, your left hand isn't doing anything. It's just kind of just bracing the neck so that your guitar isn't kind of swinging around everywhere. So it's just bracing the neck, not touching anything other than the neck. And your right hand is going to take the first string, go in the gap just a little bit, pull up. Stop the noise with the same finger, go back in the gap, pull up. And at the end of that pull, your finger should pretty much land right on your thumb. Okay? Land on the thumb that's resting on the pickup. Pull up. Stop the sound. Pull up. Stop the sound. Okay? And as you stop the sound, your finger should be back in the position to start the tone again. Okay? Pull up, stop the sound. You're back in position. Pull up, stop the sound. And you're going to do this. Let's do this about 3 or 4 times just to practice. We're always going to be listening for a nice, clean tone. Okay? One thing, if you're starting to hear a little bit of a metallic or a scraping sound, you want to check your fingernails. Whatever finger you're using to strum with, you want to be sure your fingernails are cut pretty short so that they're not interfering or touching the strings at all. Lots of times, if your fingernails are too long, they'll scratch the string as you're pulling up on it, and it'll make an undesirable sound. So be sure that you try to keep your fingernails short as you practice or play the bass guitar. Okay, so let's now go to the second string and do the same thing. Put your finger slightly in between the second and third string. You're touching the second string, go a little bit over into the gap, and then pull up. This time, after you pull up, your finger's going to land or end up resting against the first string. Okay? If you remember when we did the first string pull, we pulled up and our finger landed on the thumb. Now when we're pulling the second string, we're going to land on the first string. Not when we hit the first string, we don't make any noise with it. We don't go, we're not pulling on both. We only pull on the second one and then land on the first. Stop the tone, pull. Stop the tone, pull. Stop the tone. Let's go to the third string. Same thing. Go in between the third and the fourth a little bit. Pull up. Land on the second string now. Stop the tone. We want to have good, clean tones. Then go to the fourth string. Same thing. Focus on having clean tones the whole time. Now, one common mistake, not necessarily a mistake, but something that you might hear that's odd is as you pull up and land on a string, as you raise this finger up to do it again, you might accidentally pull that string you landed on, trying to move it back to the first one. So you're getting multiple strings ringing out. And that's not what we want. We want to be sure everything is clean, that when you pull a string, you're stopping cleanly on that string, and when you lift up to go back to it, that you're not ringing out that string as you leave it. Okay? So, work on this exercise. Work on stopping the strings cleanly. Don't want any other strings ringing out. And just work on that, just traversing all of the strings. We're not even doing anything with the left hand now. It's just kind of resting again, securing the neck, while your right hand is working on getting clean tones. Okay? Thanks for watching. In the next lesson, we'll work on adding the left hand.